We live in a world where people are constantly trying to manipulate each other. And if you're thinking that you're not being manipulated, oh boy, it means that you're being manipulated by real professionals. You're being manipulated when you're using social media, at work, and also even by your friends and family members. And if you want to defend yourself against manipulations, the first step is to be able to spot them. So in this video, we will talk about 3 very common manipulation tactics that a lot of people use. I'll also provide you real examples. I'll explain why they work on you. And also we'll talk about situations where it's not really a manipulation. By the way, if you're new here, then welcome. My name is Nikita, and here I talk about practical communication tips for everyday life. Now, without further ado, let's roll. But before we start talking about these dirty tactics, I want to explain how those manipulations work. Look guys, we have 2 types of manipulations. Logical manipulations and emotional manipulations. Logical manipulations are manipulations where people are using logical fallacies against you. For instance, run analogies, or they're just cherry-picking data to show that they're right. However, emotional manipulations have a little bit different approach. When people are using emotional manipulations, they always have a target. And this target is one of the emotions inside you. And all of them have in common that they have this emotion that they're trying to target in order to manipulate you and make you feel bad if you don't do what manipulator wants from you. And the first type of manipulation is extremely common, and it's called playing the victim. You've definitely encountered these types of manipulations in your life because they're extremely common. For instance, that's the first type of manipulation that babies love to use. Small babies sometimes start to cry, and then the mommy sees that, oh, you know, her baby is crying and she needs to do something, right? The baby sees that, oh, I just need to cry and I will deserve some special treatment. And some babies just start to manipulating their parents by doing that, right? They just start playing the victim specifically. But of course, it's not only them. Beggars also use this approach. They also try to play the victim. If you see the beggar in the street and he will start talking to you, he will tell all of those different, very, very sad, but also fake stories, what life did to him and why you should help him. But also at work, there's a person there who has always 1 million different reasons why she is simply a victim of circumstances and she couldn't get the job done. And you know why it works so well? Because it targets empathy. Especially if you're very altruistic, very caring, you always want to help people who are hurt or look helpless. And what those manipulators do is that they exaggerate pain. They exaggerate this helplessness. And they want you to feel guilty if you don't fix it. You have to suddenly deal with this BS that they're feeding you, or you're responsible. So let's talk about situations where this is not a manipulation. First of all, those not are manipulations where it doesn't really happen often. Sometimes unpredictable or bad stuff simply happens. I also have been in a situation like that. One day, I just decided to go on a date with a girl and we scheduled a meeting in the center of a city. And it was Friday evening and I called a taxi. I called a taxi like 50 minutes before our date. So here where I'm from, it's actually, pretty good timing, pretty safe timing. However, when the taxi came, we just got stuck in a huge traffic jams. And I texted her and said, hey, listen, I'm sorry, but I will be 30 minutes late. And the reason for that is because I got stuck in a traffic jam. So from one scenario, it's like I was like playing the victim, right? I'm, blaming circumstances. But what happened is that it never happened again. And that's the second sign that this is not a manipulation, is that if the person is late once, he makes sure that it will never happen again. Manipulation starts is if the person is always late, right? The person is always late and there's always another reason why he's late. And also another sign that this is not a manipulation is that you're not supposed to fix it. The person takes full responsibility of his fuck up. So this was about playing the victim. Let's talk about manipulation number 2. One day I got up and I really didn't feel like working. So I started procrastinating and I was trying to find what to do instead. And what's interesting is that while I was scrolling YouTube, I actually stumbled upon a very, very interesting podcast. In the podcast, a popular influencer was teaching girls how to manipulate men. And she was also selling an online course, and that course basically was for gold diggers. And in this podcast, they were discussing different manipulation tactics that they used in order to manipulate rich guys. By the way, that online course she named Bitchology. It was not really in English, okay, but I'm trying to translate it as precise as possible. Bitch in this case was, cold, calculative woman. And ology is like biology and astrology, things like that, right? Like science. So basically this was a science of manipulating rich guys. I actually forgot about my work in a second. I got extremely interested in the topic. Well, I mean, it's definitely way more interesting to watch stuff like that than doing actual work, right? So they were discussing there in details a very, very interesting strategy. Is that first of all, they wanted to use flattery. Giving a lot of compliments to the guy, how masculine he is, how smart he is. So he would feel special around her. And then after that, after this connection is established, their tactic was to start asking for something. First of all, to start small, flowers, gifts, money, then jewelry, cars, apartments, and so on and so forth. And I'm pretty sure that those manipulation tactics worked. You know why? Because they target the validation. Usually, especially men, we don't really get a lot of compliments. And overall for both men and women, the world feels like an angry place. We basically live in a very hostile environment where every day we have to get up and fight. In the end of the day, we have bills to pay. And when someone is nice to us, when someone starts to appreciate you just, for being you, how awesome you are, we like this feeling. We like to feel that way. And because we like to feel that way, it lowers our defenses. We also start to think that this person is our friend, right? Look at it, like how nice it is to be around him. But then after they bombed you with a flattery, after this connection is established, they start asking for something. And it feels hard for us to say no. It feels hard for us to say no to the person who was really that nice and that generous to us. And that's why this is also a manipulation. Remember at the beginning of the video, I was talking that every emotional manipulation wants to make you feel bad if you don't do what manipulator wants from you, right? So that's why flattery by itself, it's not really manipulation, right? When you're flattered, you don't really feel bad, but you will feel bad if you don't do what this manipulator wants from you. And of course, not only women use this tactic. Even at work, right? The boss can tell you, wow, man, good job. Listen, you know what? You're one of the best employees here. You're always on time, you work very hard, and suddenly you like it, you feel better about yourself. And then the boss asks you, we're really happy that you're here. Hey, could you also do this task for us, please? And boom, just like that, you're falling for it. However, of course, there are situations where this is not a manipulation. For instance, where compliments are very rare and there is a real reason why you get complimented. And also when the compliment is not followed by a request. This compliment has no strings attached. For instance, you did something for someone and the person tells you, hey, this was a really good job. Well done. Yes, this was a compliment, but it was not a manipulation. And the third very common manipulation that I want to talk about today is called ego attack. And this manipulation is very, very interesting because it works in both ways. It has both motivation to something and motivation from something. So if you do what manipulator wants from you, you're good. If you don't do what manipulator wants from you, you're bad. And this is type of manipulations where your ego, your identity gets attacked. The real man doesn't do this. The real woman doesn't do that. The real professional never say this. Only immature people do something. See, I specifically didn't really give any examples because it doesn't really matter. The idea is that they're attacking your identity. They're attacking your ego. And it's very simple why it works. Because inside, we all want to be good people. We want to be good men, good women, good father, good mother, good boyfriend, good girlfriend, good son or good daughter. And there's nothing wrong with that. The problem becomes when someone wants to use it against us. And why is it manipulation? Because they tell you that you should do something because the real man or woman do that. And if you ask why you should do that, the answer is basically just because. Just because the real man does this and you have to do it as well. Usually it feels like there is some perfect man or perfect moon, perfect someone, right? And they're always perfect. And if you want to be good, you have to act like them, right? Like about this mystical, artificial figure. And if you don't, then you're a bad person. And don't ask any questions, okay? You just have to do it just because. So if you want to be a good person, you have to act like that. And there's a pressure, there's shame there, right? If you don't do that. It targets your identity instead of explaining why you should do the thing. And obviously, sometimes it is not a manipulation. When I was thinking about this video, I was thinking about writing a script. I thought about what would be a good example where the scenario like this is not a manipulation. And the thing that came to my mind was a situation that happened between Iggy Azalea and Playboi Carti 5 years ago. So, something around 2016, 2017, I actually enjoyed Iggy Azalea. I know that in America, people don't really like her music. I don't really know why, okay? Pre-enjoyed her songs, to be honest.
It's alright.
But we're not really talking about her songs, okay? It doesn't really matter. What we're talking about is that the situation that happened between them. So, if you don't know, okay, TLDR, Iggy Azalea, Playboi Carti started dating. Then, she got pregnant. And once she got pregnant, after 9 months, she was about to give birth. And when she was giving birth, Playboi Carti, instead of supporting her, that day when she was giving birth, she just decided to go and play PS5 with his friend. Just like that. Sounds weird as fuck. Honestly, even from my perspective, however, I always try to be aware of those manipulations, right? I don't really think that she acted like a real man, okay? But the reason for that is not because the real man acts this way or the real man acts that way. The real reason why he should have helped her is because, if you have a girlfriend and your girlfriend is giving birth to your child, and you understand that she has to go right now through a lot of struggle and she cannot do everything by herself, right? Because that's a very hard and stressful situation. As a person who cares about your girlfriend, as a person who cares about your child, you need to go and help her, to be with her. You can play your fucking PS5 with your friend next time. The difference between scenarios that are manipulative and not manipulative is that in not manipulative scenarios, there's always constructive criticism. You have to do something, not because everyone does this, or, there's a tradition, everyone used to do it, or whatever. But there's a real practical reason why you have to do that. So now you know about the most common manipulation tactics that people use in order to manipulate you. By the way, if this video was useful to you, then hit the like and subscribe to my channel so you'll not miss my future videos. My name is Nikita, and I'll see you next time.